First, I'm going to tell you the story of what happened to me, and then I will explain the info I found out later that revealed all the creepy stuff. This was in 2005, and I was living in Missoula, Montana. I was 10 years old, my 7-year-old sister and I shared a bed, and my best friend was also over this night, having a sleepover. We were all in my big bed, which was up against the window. If you looked out the window, you would be at the eye level with the ground. In front of you would be just the backyard, and up and to the left, you would see the deck that went up to the upstairs level and led to the kitchen. Anyways, this night, in like February or March, still cold and kinda snowy, the three of us were having a giggly sleepover in our bed and looked out the window for a split second and saw a deer on the deck. I showed my sister and friend and we didn't think much of it. About an hour passed and we were finally going to sleep. I looked out again and saw the deer still on the deck, but this time with 2 green lights, iridescent looking things. I pointed it out to my sister and friend, and they saw it too. All of a sudden, it moved, and it was very clearly not a deer. It was a person, but all we could see was the silhouette. It looked like they were facing our kitchen door. We kept watching the person, and all of a sudden, they started moving toward the deck stairs, toward us. He got to the bottom of the stairs and stopped, probably looking at us, and just stood there for a few seconds. He was like 6 feet away from our window. It freaked us out and we all started screaming, and he clearly heard us and ran out of our backyard. My dad went out with his gun, called the cops, but nothing. So, that was the experience. But here is the context. I didn't know this because I was young and my parents didn't say anything. But during this time, all of the neighbors got a notice from the local PD saying that they had information leading them to believe a wanted killer, child molester, was in the neighborhood, or at least in the area, and to keep an eye out. I believe later they released the name of this individual to be Joseph Duncan. It was like the talk of the town for sure. My parents didn't tell us this explicitly, but during this time, we weren't allowed outside alone. We weren't allowed to go to the park down the street, etc. About a month and a half later, in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, a little girl named Shasta and her brother Dylan were kidnapped, and their entire family inside the house was killed with a hammer. By a man named Joseph E. Duncan. What is crazy is he snuck into their home in the middle of the night after scouting out their home once or twice. He could have very well done the same to my family that night, or possibly another night. He did horrible and unspeakable things to the children and eventually killed the little boy. He tortured that little poor girl until they were found in a Denny's. My dad and I actually watched the report moments after it happened in a hotel room on vacation. My family was all over this because we totally believe that man was at our house that night. One more kicker, he used night vision goggles to scope out houses of his potential victims. What did I see on the deer? Green iridescent lights, or the reflection of the night vision goggles. I am totally convinced